Hello and welcome back to Uncle Matt's Workbench. I have a bit of a mess here because I've been experimenting with this retro brite process and failing. I was going to try to make the paste to put on this because it's too big to submerge it in any container that I have. I do have this 40 volume developer that I'm going to use. I'm going to partially submerge it and then flip it over. I think being that I've got the strongest concentration here, I can probably dilute it about 50-50 with water and it still will be strong enough to whiten. At least that's what I hope. I have this container, which is the only container I can find in my household that this will fit into. So I'm thinking if I fill this up enough to where it'll at least halfway cover, I can sit it this way, then flip it this way. And I have a large mirror that I'm going to put on the table outside that this will sit on top of, so I can still get some of the UV light from underneath. So even when it's flipped this way, I should still be getting some sunlight on this surface. So I'm just going to pour this whole bottle in here, and then I am going to fill the bottle with water and pour that in here as well, and hope that it is enough. So the snowspeeder has been outside in the sun all day, or at least most of the day. Sunlight was kind of intermittent. It was kind of cloudy. They'd come and go. So it was out there for about 8 hours, and here in some sun, some clouds, and I do see a big improvement. If you remember, in part 1, the canopy and the body did not match at all, and then the battery cover, you could see a very big difference between those two, and now they look really good together. There is still some yellowing, but it's minimal, and you can see here where the stickers used to be, there used to be a night and day difference there. Now you can still see it, but it's nowhere near as severe as it was. And I mean, I thought about going one more day with it, going a couple hours tomorrow to see if I could bring it back to brand new. But you know, if I do that, looking at it now, if I did that, I would then have to de-yellow the canopy and the battery cover, possibly the cannons, and as it is right now, everything looks good together, so I'm going to leave it as it is. So for now, I'm going to set this aside and address the next issue. So if you recall in part 1, when I was messing with this motor, this rear engine section was barely hanging on, and the last peg snapped while I was working on this. So this is the next thing I have to deal with. For the most part, they snapped off clean, but there's a little bit left of the final one that needs to come off. Some plastic nippers would be great, but I don't have any, so I'm going to have to do the best I can with what I have. So what I'm going to do is I've actually got these little cat claw trimmers that I use for a lot of things, not trimming my cat's claws, but other things. I'm going to trim off as much as I can with this, and then I will use a file and just file that down. That's about as far as I want to go with it, and I can still see where I need to drill holes. Now, I've learned from watching Toy Polloi that these Lego pieces make perfect replacements for snapped pegs like this. And I guess, yes, I'm copying Dave. I'm copying Toy Polloi, but I've looked around the house for something of my own to use, and honestly I can't find anything that I think would work just as good or better than these. So I'm going to do the exact same repair here that you've probably already seen someone else do. But, you know, like I said, it's the probably the best way to do this. So to help me along with this, I have this little drill bit gauge that I got this for free in the mail with a catalog that I had ordered for some power tools or something. I don't remember what the company was, but they sent me this. I've had it for years, and I love it. I've used this for a lot of things, and in this case I need to know what kind of drill bit to use to make holes exactly for this Lego piece. And you know, and I just kind of check each one until it doesn't fit, and back up one, and this tells me that this is 1/8. So I have a 1/8 drill bit here. I'm going to use that in my Dremel. If you have a Dremel but not one of these chucks right here, it's just like a drill, get one. These things are awesome. I can put things in this that do not fit in the normal Dremel. I don't even know what you call that thing, but this thing here is awesome. And I'm going to need to drill those pegs out of those holes, as well as drill some holes right here, 4 of them, where the pegs have snapped off. Now, before I go gluing these into place, I need to figure out how long I need to make these. And to do that, I'm just kind of probing into these holes here. And I'm finding this goes in a lot further here than the other one, so I actually need to drill those out a little bit better, make those holes a little cleaner. And I'll just do that right now before moving forward. Low speed should do. So let's try that again. That goes in almost halfway. So does that, so does that, so does that. That's good. Let's see if they fit in here. I want them to fit snugly. Well, a couple of these fit nice and snug, and a couple of them are kind of loose, which I really don't like that at all, but that's okay. I think I know exactly what I need to do to combat that. And it has nothing to do with this. I'm just cleaning this up a little bit. So I need this to go in as far as it'll go, or close to it. and go into these holes just a little bit plus a little bit more. And this piece is a little bit longer than this piece, but I think if I just cut both of these exactly in half, or if I cut this black one in half and then cut the gray one to match it, I should be okay. So here, once again, I'm going to use my cat clippers. I'm just going to butt the blade up against there and snip it right off. Those are all roughly 1/2 inch. Now, hopefully, this gives me what I need. I'll just stick these in here. I should have just a little bit left over to put into these holes here. Hopefully they all line up. And they do. Hold that in place. Give it time to set up. And as long as I don't play with it a whole lot, that should hold sufficiently. That should hold good enough. Now on to the next problem. So there's not much left to do here aside from assembling it and applying the stickers. Stickers are going to have to wait. I have some on order. They won't be here until maybe sometime next week because they're coming from Australia. I got them from eBay seller Zach Paris, who makes very nice stickers. I'm going to put the link to his page in the description of this video. He makes all sorts of reproduction stickers, good quality paper, and they're die cut, which is really great. He even provides instruction sheets for applying them, and that's something I don't see anyone else doing. But so that there will be a part 3 to this video, which will be solely applying the decals. So for now, I'm going to just start putting this back together. And there we have it, fully assembled, standing, displaying the way it should, because I did acquire a landing gear. And so there is still one more thing I need to fix on this, and that would be the issue of this canopy, where it just doesn't grab on very tightly there. So the fix for that, and it's really only semi of a fix, is to put just a tiny drop of glue here and here, which will thicken that up and help it to grab tighter. Just a tiny drop on both sides and kind of smear it around just to give it some thickness. And I will let that dry. Now that my glue's had time to dry, let's put our little pilots in there. And let's get this canopy on and see if that fits any better than it did. Oh yeah, that is much tighter. I can still pull it off, but that fits in much tighter. I don't think that's going to fall off on its own at this point. So now I want to put some batteries in here and just check to make sure I'm still working. I know I've checked it a couple of times already before, but it's been through quite a bit since then. I just want to make sure everything is still lined up as it should be in working order. And this battery compartment on this particular ship is really lousy. I mean, it's hard to get the batteries in there. They don't sit in there, but it's just really badly designed. But hey, as a kid, this was one of the greatest toys ever. I loved it. I think everybody who owned it loved it. Let's see here. And for some reason, it is not working. Make sure these batteries are making good contact here. There we go. So here's my problem. Problem is that this one contact right here is not making contact. It needs to be bent inward. And to do that, I first got to get this dang battery out. This is exactly what I was talking about with this battery compartment. The batteries barely fit in there, and there's nothing there to really hold the batteries in any particular position. Now, if you've never seen one of these before, if you're watching this, you probably have, but if you haven't, I'm going to turn off the lights for you, just to show you how cool this thing is. And also, let's take a look at these power of the force thrusters. Plastic is a different tone, but after cleaning and retro-briting, taking the paint off of those, I think they look great. I mean, you can hardly tell that those are from a different model. I mean, the mold's the same, the color is only slightly off. I think they look fantastic. So that is all for part 2 of the snowspeeder restoration. Like I said, I'm waiting on some decals to arrive, and then I'll get on to part 3, and that'll be simply putting those decals on and seeing the finished product. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and maybe even share to social media. Tell your friends about me. And thank you for watching.